So let's get a North American perspective on these issues from two global all-stars from both sides of the United States.
And we're delighted to be joined by Rolando Ayala of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau and Jay Barres with Visit Anaheim. Jay and Rolando, welcome to the stage.
This is me here.
Thanks for joining us, Rolando and Jay. So we've seen the recovery and reopening in Iceland. So how are Anaheim and Miami responding, and what are some critical areas that you would highlight where you've had the most impact in terms of accelerating that recovery? So perhaps, Jay, pick it up.
Sure. First of all, I have to stop sending all my creative ideas to Iceland. That is awesome. I love the stuff that they do. It's fantastic. No, a part of our recovery and response, we kind of went back to basics, and I hope we all did, but it's really about partnerships and communications. And so instead of trying to compete with our local organizations, a chamber, a hotel association, other groups, all trying to compete for eyeballs from the people in the community, as well as when we all have the same goal of rebuilding. And that's with the recovery, and that was everything we could do together. So we really had a control center where we all came together. That resulted in us starting with delivering toilet paper and food, things we didn't normally do, to all the different recovery things that a lot of us did. But the key with all that was communications also. So we created some new communication opportunities through a destination update, which was, we reached a point where our community needed some good news. I mean, we were devastated, and we didn't see an end in sight. And we wanted to show our community that there would be a tomorrow, and that there is good news coming, and we had developments coming and all this stuff. So we started that in order to really bring the community together to be ready for that recovery when it's time. Of course, the town hall series that so many of us have done, and the opportunity with that just to give numbers, the hotels wanted to know, but the other video was more to give hope and about tomorrow.
And Rolando, Miami?
Thank you. And they say crisis brings clarity, and I think all of us experienced a shock to our system. And kudos to what the folks in Iceland and Sweden are doing, and kudos obviously to what Anaheim was doing. And I'm sure we were all doing versions of this. Obviously, we got out of the gate. We wanted to educate our community, our stakeholders, our customers. We wanted to mitigate the blow. I mean, we had never experienced this. 90% of our hotel employees were laid off, 50% of our restaurant workers. And then ultimately we wanted to stimulate demand at the appropriate time. And I know there was a contrast in timing of when we opened up. I mean, our hotels opened up of June 1, but when they opened up, we wanted to do it in a very, very sensitive and very deliberate way, mindful that there was still a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. But we needed to get that business going. So, we launched a variety of programs, as many of our colleagues did. And, the next slide will illustrate some of what we did. Everything, who would have thought that we would have become experts on coronavirus? The same way that we became experts on Zika many years ago. The same way that we became experts on oil spills. But that we did what we had to do, and we did it in partnership with many. And we did do a lot of things. We helped with, we didn't deliver toilet paper, but we delivered meals. We actually we launched a very robust Miami Eats program. We had 1,300 restaurants delivering meals to frontline and first responders, and by doing so, we acknowledged their efforts, but we also kept them employed. For us, that was one of our top priorities was saving jobs. It was so critically important. And then at the right time, last June, we did launch our Miami Shines recovery campaign in a very thoughtful, very deliberate way. And the opportunity was for us to reintroduce Miami in a different light. So our Miami Land campaign, for example, and if you're interested, go to miamiland.com, didn't show our hotels, it didn't even show our restaurants, it didn't show the nightlife that Miami obviously is so famous for. It showed our national parks. I'm sure many of you didn't know that Miami has 3 national parks. It was all about those outdoor experiences and our Miami Land. So the opportunity was to reposition and reintroduce us. And then on the next slide, you'll see how we also, like many of you, in inviting our customers back, wanted to do it in a very thoughtful and mitigating the risk by launching our pledge. And then we actually even launched a campaign about having people do the right thing and mask up. And you saw this all over our town. And of course, we all know that the youngest in our customers were the most reticent to wear masks. So we actually came up with something a little, it's after 5 o'clock, right? So I'm holding up something that may look deceiving to many of you from afar. And it was just one of the creative ways that we wanted to reach out to the younger ones in our community. And it was about stay safe and wrap your face. So yes, it's a mask in here, folks. It's a mask in here. I got you, right? So, by the way, Jay, I have a few extras in my pocket. They don't fit in my wallet, unfortunately. So so it was truly an opportunity to look at things in a very, very different perspective. And I know we shared a lot of the pain, and we shared a lot of the strategies and tactics, and we're learning from each other as we speak.
Hey, that Miami land thing, that's not a shot at me, is it?
Not at all, not at all. I mean, arguably, we've got the largest amusement park in the country with our national parks, but it was a great play on that new aspect of our destination.
That's great.
So let's switch gears and talk about sustainability. So both Gothenburg and Iceland are global leaders in sustainability. But with North America, I'm wondering what are the thoughts of US destinations on this topic, and if there's one initiative that each one of you can share that you're proud in the areas of sustainability or destination management that you have done. So let's start with you, Jay, this time.
Actually, I'll take it away. It's fine. And you look at this photo and you see our beautiful community, and we're the canary in the coal mine. I mean, we truly are. We're blessed with lots of water, and when you think of sea level and resiliency and sustainability, we frankly are nowhere near some of the colleagues internationally, even domestically are, but we recognize that there are some real issues that we need to confront. In fact, our city and county governments are spending lots and lots of money on everything from raising roads to installing pumps. But most recently, most of our major municipalities hired chief resiliency officers to look at sustainability in a holistic way. And in fact, we were blessed that the Rockefeller Foundation recently embraced Greater Miami, Miami-Dade County, and made us one of their resilient cities, and is providing us with additional resources so that we can learn best practices, not only domestically, but from our international partners. We just completed our strategic plan just prior to the pandemic, and needless to say, sustainability and resiliency in its broadest sense was a major, major factor in our proceedings, and it's something that we're baking in moving forward. But frankly, there's a lot of work to do on this front, and we're looking forward to that.
And we did the same in California with Visit California, is such a leader, and it had developed their entire Travel Responsibly program, and that was underway to avoid the dreaded word over-tourism that we all laugh at now and say, how did that ever happen? But of course, we adopted that, and that was a great hit. But we also took it to a different level with sustainability and broadened that term to mean more than just a green program, if you will. It's about sustaining communities and neighborhoods and things. And so we developed what was called an Anaheim First program in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. But it was basically, we were developing an us versus them mentality of the local non-hospitality people versus the hospitality in the resort. These guys get everything. Their streets look beautiful. They're pretty palm trees. We get nothing. And some resentment was started. So that's where it was born. Now it's evolved into something more, which is, our mission has always been to, sell and market the destination for the benefit of economic vitality of the neighborhoods, communities, all that. We reversed it. And we said, maybe our job, our mission really, is to benefit the neighborhoods and our communities by selling and marketing the destination and bringing the economic impact to the destination. So Anaheim First was there to reach out to the community. We developed a board of directors of 90 different people in the community, from every district is represented. They developed a needs assessment, and then we present those to the city, and the mayor and the city council have approved to dedicate $250 million going back into neighborhoods over the next few years. So even through the pandemic, they were so sold on the program that they're going to continue that even with the pandemic and the losses that they've had through all this. So it's very exciting. It is, as you said, all about saving jobs, but it's also about saving our communities and being one with our community through that engagement. So that's where we took it.
So back to our panel, and let's stay on topic of events. And I'm sure audience would like to know, how are you seeing the recovery of meetings and events in your destinations?
I think the comment I heard after a virtual meeting early on was, I think it was Craig out of Dallas said, that was the best virtual meeting I hope I never go through again. So I think we've evolved from that into this hybrid, and then how can we use that as a marketing tool, not just for the content and whatever the meeting is, but also for the destination to do. I think there's some real opportunity there. Of course, we had heard about several areas who were putting together studios for the hybrid or virtual events within their convention centers. And we wanted to do something a little more, so we developed a mobile, studio within our convention center that can move throughout the building for the clients to use who want to do an event, a virtual event, a hybrid event during their actual event. And so we could use that. But we also added a studio very nearby the convention center where people can go in, all the professional technicians, all the equipment is there. And we're finding that a lot of clients don't want to do it simultaneously. They want to have their event and then have their virtual event. So this gives them the opportunity to record data and content and do some of those things in both ways. So also some virtual real-time site inspection tools that are out there are going to be a way of life in the future. So just real quickly, but I know I wanted to jump into some of the business that Miami stole from California during our downturn.
Actually, quite proud of that.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Am I hot? Am I?
Yeah, you're good.
Good? Okay. Yeah, so thank you for some of that business. Obviously, we appreciated that. Our convention center had just gone through a $625 million renovation just before the pandemic. So the timing was less than fortuitous, but we got a great facility, practically brand new. We also built out what we call our Art Deco studio in-house to allow people to do this. But candidly, we want to see that hybrid word go away. I mean, I'm sure all of you want to as well. I think we get penalized in the office by our CEO if we even say the word, because we're back in the in-person business. And in fact, I was very proud to work with our CEO, Bill Talbert, and the chairman of our board last October for the first ever DMO annual meeting at that convention center. And it was in person. We had 500 attendees. We did have a virtual option of about 200 folks. But we've been open for business for quite some time. Ironically, we had the Super Bowl in that convention center literally weeks before we had to shut down because of the pandemic. But then this past April, we were able to relocate a piece of business from the Northeast, the Aesthetic Society, which actually was a medical convention, first major medical convention in the United States, in Miami Beach Convention Center in April. And it was quite interesting. The meeting planner, at that same time, we convened a destination advisory board. And the meeting planner, amazing person, took the time to meet with our destination advisory board, walk them through their show that was going on and being built up with all the protocols, and gave them advice on what to do and what not to do. I mean, we all know how much more expensive it is, and hopefully that goes away. But she did not devalue her content. She was charging folks that were there in person or virtual the same amount of money, and for her, that was a game changer. But events is a massive part of our recovery. You saw some of the events, some of the B2B events that we're bringing back. Major sporting events, I mentioned the Super Bowl. We hosted the college football championships. Formula One just announced a month ago, they're going to come to Miami for 10 years. Huge events. And then, of course, we've got some amazing other events in the balance of the year. So without events, at least for Miami, and I suspect for most of you, we will not experience that full recovery. And quite frankly, the less H-word, hybrid, and of course, the virtual option will allow some of these associations in particular to expand that reach. And for an international market like Miami, that's critically important. But we're hoping that that cost and that word goes away in the very, very near future.
So just in the last few minutes, let's get your guys' input on another critical issue, which is workforce, and that's been discussed at this event. It'd be great to just get your perspective on impactful areas you've been addressing in terms of this area of recruiting and retaining talent into our industry. So, Rolando.
Sure. I mean, we're working closely with not only our hotel association, I mentioned that early on. We launched relief and recovery programs. We were fundraising to help save jobs. And now we have more business than we ever would have anticipated so early in the recovery phase. So working with not only the Hotel Association, but CareerSource Florida is our jobs entity within the state and locally. And Florida International University and collaborating and bringing back apprenticeship programs, creating that pipeline. I'm sure all of you are experiencing what we're experiencing in Miami. You know, we're selling more rooms than in 2019. We have hotels capping their reservation systems because there just is not enough qualified hands to go around. But this gives us an opportunity to, reimagine this, and redefine what it is, a hospitality job. We do have a perception issue, and people think of that entry-level position, but it's a career path. And whether it's entry-level, mid-level, or management level, we are rethinking how we communicate and promote that, and working with our economic development organization as well to support this pipeline.
And Jay, final thoughts on this?
That's a great transition of the dispelling some of those myths that are out there. And so even before COVID, we had started this new workforce development program that I'd seen the John Lennon Foundation and the John Lennon Bus, which, if you're not aware, goes around to schools to educate students on potential careers in music. Everything in music is not lead singer, lead guitarist. It is engineer, board op. There's so many different things. And I thought, what a brilliant idea. We need to do that for tourism, because everyone locally, and they just think, well, it's low paying, it's entry level, it's the wait staff, it's in the kitchen, or it is the front desk at a hotel. So we wanted to tell the story of there's career opportunities. It is a career. You may start in low paying, but there's also opportunity for every level of education. So we worked with our area, our county-wide organizations and DMOs to develop this program. The program was put in place. We had a motor coach donated. We had educational materials. We had our first session with a school. We had 800 students attend. We were scheduled to visit over 80 different schools within the Orange County area to educate them on opportunities within our industry. But it wasn't just that. It was also, they could hear it from someone that's closer to their age, demographic. It also affects really some of our DEI initiatives in having your future employees reflect the makeup of your community. And so but we also took it one step more, and with the counselors at the schools, we left these boxes of information and files of how to find that job. It's on job fairs, it's on job lines, it's on resumes, it's on everything that the counselors loved it. And that's always there in their office, so the students could continue to go with that. From that, we were going to develop a kind of an internship program, mentorship program, and then ultimately the hospitality program in the schools to grow that. But it's something that's a part of our world because all of our partners depend on that workforce of the future. So.
Yeah. So in closing, I'd like to ask you one final question. From all what we've heard today and talked about, what is one short-term and one long-term priority that you think DMO leaders should be focused on? So, Jay, let's start with you this time.
All right. I would say short-term is we've got to get back on our feet financially. And that may be the long-term answer, too. But it is long-term, I think, that workforce development. We're going to have a challenge. A lot of the youth have watched our industry just be decimated through this and maybe thinking, why do I want to get into that? They're so volatile. We've got to show them opportunity, and we're really going to have to work at it to build that next generation workforce, and that's not an overnight solution. That's going to have to be ongoing for a long time. And on that short term, it's not just short term because, yes, we've got to recover financially, but I think we've all learned through this that you can't have enough reserves during a pandemic. So I think rebuilding that is going to be a big part of our short-term and long-term goal.
And Rolando?
Speaking of reserves, we had anticipated dipping into our reserves quite substantially. And based on the amazing demand, driven by great DMO programs, of course, and travel confidence, we haven't had to dip into our reserves, but definitely on a longer-term basis, we need to continue to build our reserves, because if we had to draw down on them, we probably wouldn't have gone as far as we thought we would. But on a short-term basis, and we've been in Miami, and I'm sure many of you have gone through so many crises, and I mentioned not only the oil spills and the hurricanes that we've gone through, but this pandemic really is adding a new chapter to our playbook. So learning from all of you, from our friends around the globe, from our friends in Anaheim, we need to add a new chapter in our playbook that I don't think anybody had on there. And quite candidly, we could have been better prepared. I mean, who would have thunk that we would have gone through this? But I think with that and what we already had in the archive, we're going to be better prepared than ever. And then long term, and you heard some of that with Paul at DNEX, and the relevance of the DMO, I'm sure, is what keeps all of us up at night. And this idea of community building, shared values, these are very holistic, altruistic goals, but that's something that we definitely need to drill down on, and there's tremendous opportunity with our local EDO, amazing partner, and we need to build on that because it's going to continue to substantiate and support our relevance moving forward.
Thank you so much, guys. A round of applause for Jay and Rolando.